from 6 hours to 30-hour experience on average. So there's a lot of story there that you need to develop. And one of the problems we sometimes have is the player doing things, the same thing over and over again. And we're trying to get away from that. We're trying to come up with innovative ways to use reversals. And remember, if any of you were there for the lecture, the gap between expectation and results, those elements are very important. But there are 7 structure twists. These are some of the conventions in game writing that we use over and over again. So I want to share them with you. First one. Oh, I went backwards. There we go. The first one. A revelation that changes everything. So let's say it's a Call of Duty game, and your platoon is going from town to town and shooting the bad guys. And suddenly you find out your radio has been bugged. So they've been on to you this whole time. So now you destroy the radio, things are going to be different. So you give the audience a bit of information that changes the gameplay. The player goes, oh good, I've learned something. Everything will be different now. A revelation. You want to shake up the gameplay constantly for the player so it doesn't feel repetitive. Number 2, innocent people are in the way. That's a fun little device. You throw in innocent people, women and children in a bunker. What is the player going to do? They're forced to make a choice. They could go ahead and blow it up anyways, but how will that affect things later on in the game? Will there be consequences to that? Or do they have to come up with an alternative strategy? Number 3, a character changes sides. So either one of your friends, your fellow NPCs, non-player characters, your comrade, betrays you. Or a villain, bad guy, puts his hands up in the air and turns himself in. Again, the player's forced to make a choice. Do they go ahead and kill the character anyways? Or do they take him with them? And maybe they might have some information that'll help them later. Again, this is a twist that just changes things. So now the player goes from playing perhaps single player to as 2. Number 4, you fall into a trap. That's very common and can be a great way to expand the gameplay. It originated way back in the Atari days with Pitfall. Any of you remember that old game? Where you ran along and you swam across lake alligators. And they had that. That was all they had for a while. They thought, okay, that's fun. You jump across these alligators. But we need something more. It's not enough. So they came up with this idea that you could fall underground. And there's this whole level underground with scorpions. And then you have to jump over the scorpions. They just doubled the gameplay. So sometimes we use this convention as bringing the player to another area. A trap, an underground cavern. Now you have a whole level in the mines. Number 5, a hostage is taken. You give the player, again, a choice to make. Do they go back and save the medic, a friend, family member? Suddenly a new subplot is created. Number 6, forced to carry out another's agenda. This is a good one, because now, let's say the villain has your family hostage. They're calling the shots now. They can tell you to do something. You have to do this in order to get them back. And so many times in games, from Zelda to Batman, you have to do these little missions that are, the character will say, I'll help you if you help me. You go and do this for me and I'll let you pass. And that expands the gameplay. And can give you limitless and countless missions. Number 7, mini goals. This is the most simple and basic one. Before you blow up that bunker, you have to take out the tower. So again, you've expanded it. It's interesting how these structure twists also pop up in cinema. For example, Star Wars. When George Lucas was originally writing Return of the Jedi, he felt he didn't have enough story, and he was trying to figure out, what can I do, what can I do? And even with the previous one, The Empire Strikes Back, he thought, I know, a hostage is taken. Han Solo will be taken hostage and be frozen. Great, that creates a whole subplot. And then Return of the Jedi, he can save him. He just gave himself a half an hour extra of film. And then the Death Star, they had to blow up the Death Star. And he's like, well, we already did that for the first one, the original. We gotta make it different. I know, they have to take out the bunker on Endor, so the energy shield is gone. Then they can destroy the Death Star. The ending suddenly went from 20 minutes to 45 minutes. So these are some of the structure twists we like to use. And they appear in all kinds of games, from classics like Silent Hill, the worlds of Silent Hill, mystery of that horror franchise. The worlds of Myst. If we have time later, I wouldn't mind showing you a little mini documentary about the making of one of these games. Very informative. Such an epic world. Mass Effect, of course. Great story writing, great characters. Half-Life, Half-Life 2, major hit. Epic worlds like World of Warcraft. 10 million users playing the game. And Final Fantasy, one of the most successful franchises in game history, popular all around the world. More modern classics like Assassin's Creed and, of course, Bioshock. Bioshock has one of the great stories in game writing. And The Sims. And, of course, Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia, memorable characters make memorable games. And The Sims became the #1 selling game of all time. First it was Myst, then it was The Sims. Now I think it's Black Ops. In fact, Call of Duty Black Ops has been voted the most successful entertainment product of all time. Of any medium in entertainment, it's been more successful. Of course, Zelda, Link. This is also an enormously successful franchise. And Tomb Raider. I wouldn't mind showing you a quick clip from the new Tomb Raider game coming out. And then old classics like Super Mario Brothers, still very, very popular. And then more obscure favorites like Grim Fandango. This was a LucasArts game, but it was during a time when there was quite a bit of experimentation with independent gaming and unusual stories, innovative games. And we're heading to that direction again. Right now, there are more and more independent game companies popping up that are trying to take risks. Smaller budgets, slightly more challenging stories, perhaps.